Most people believe that life-changing money arrives with warning. A phone call, a lottery ticket, an inheritance letter. But sometimes, the biggest fortune in America hides in silence, disguised as something so common that it passes through millions of hands every single day. A small copper coin, light in weight, ignored at checkout counters, forgotten in car cup holders, dropped into jars without a second thought. Today's story begins with one of those coins. A Lincoln 1-cent penny from the United States of America. Dated 2015. No mint mark. No glitter. No obvious sign of greatness. And yet, this exact coin has become one of the most talked about mysteries in modern American coin history. Imagine standing in line at a grocery store. The cashier slides your change across the counter. You don't even look down. You scoop it up, push it into your pocket, and walk away. That moment happens millions of times every day across the country. But what if one of those pennies is not ordinary at all? What if it carries a secret so powerful that it could rewrite your entire future? The 2015 Lincoln 1-cent penny was produced during a year when the U.S. Mint was operating at full speed. Billions of pennies were struck to keep up with everyday demand. Most were standard, predictable, worth exactly 1 cent. But hidden among them are coins that break the rules. Coins that should not exist the way they do. This is where the story takes a dangerous turn. A no-mint mark penny usually suggests it was produced in Philadelphia. That alone is not unusual. But collectors and experts began noticing something strange about a tiny number of 2015 pennies. These coins showed characteristics that did not align with standard production records. The metal composition felt off. The strike pressure appeared inconsistent. The surface details looked sharper in some areas and strangely soft in others. These were not signs of wear. They were signs of something much more serious. Coins like these are not created intentionally. They are born from moments of error, misalignment, or experimental conditions deep inside minting facilities. Sometimes, a wrong planchet is used. Sometimes, test metals are accidentally fed into circulation lines. And sometimes, a coin slips through quality control carrying features that were never meant to leave the building. The 2015 no-mint mark Lincoln penny became the center of quiet conversations in collector circles. At first, it was dismissed as speculation. Then another surfaced. Then another. Each time, the story grew louder. Each coin shared the same unsettling traits. Same year. Same absence of a mint mark. Same unusual physical behavior under magnification. Collectors started doing what they do best. They examined Lincoln's portrait. The sharpness of the jawline. The spacing of the letters in the word Liberty. The depth of the date. The alignment of the memorial shield on the reverse. Nothing screamed fake. Nothing looked damaged. Instead, everything suggested that the coin was genuine, but not normal. That's what made it terrifying. A normal coin follows known rules. A fake coin breaks them badly. But a rare mint error walks a dangerous line in between, where value explodes beyond logic. What makes the 2015 penny even more fascinating is its timing. The U.S. Mint was experimenting with metal compositions due to rising copper costs. Internal testing phases often involve limited strikes that are never supposed to escape. History has proven again and again that when even a single test coin enters circulation, it becomes legendary. This has happened before. Coins once spent on coffee later sold for fortunes. Coins pulled from pocket change later displayed under museum glass. The pattern repeats because people underestimate the ordinary. The Lincoln penny itself carries a powerful legacy. Introduced in 1909, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Abraham Lincoln's image became a symbol of unity, endurance, and American resilience. Every penny since carries that weight of history. But the 2015 no-mint mark penny carries something extra. It carries mystery. What truly separates this coin from others is not just how it looks, but how few are believed to exist. Experts estimate that only a microscopic number slipped into public hands before the anomaly was noticed. That means most are already lost, spent, buried in banks, melted unknowingly, or sitting in jars waiting to be rediscovered. Imagine a child dropping it into a piggy bank. Imagine someone tossing it into a fountain. Imagine it resting in a couch cushion for years, all while carrying a value that could change generations. Authentication plays a massive role here. These coins must be examined by top grading services. Weight, diameter, metal composition, and strike details are measured down to microscopic levels. When verified, the results are shocking. The coin defies normal production standards in ways that cannot be replicated intentionally. That's why collectors whisper instead of shout. The market for ultra-rare modern coins is aggressive. Private buyers, high-end investors, museums, all competing silently. Once a coin like this is confirmed, it often disappears into private collections, never to be seen again. And yet, the most unsettling part of this story is that more could still be out there. Unlike ancient coins or limited commemoratives, this penny was released into everyday circulation. It was mixed with billions of others. It traveled through hands without discrimination. Rich or poor, young or old, anyone could have touched it. Right now, someone could be holding one and not even know it. That is what makes this story dangerous. Because the opportunity has not ended. The past is not sealed. Every roll of pennies still holds possibility. Every forgotten coin jar still carries potential. Every casual glance at pocket change could be the moment everything changes. This is not a fairy tale. This is how real numismatic legends are born. Quietly, accidentally, through ignorance and chance. Collectors advise one thing above all else. Never clean a coin. Never assume modern means worthless. Never ignore the details. Because history has proven that the smallest mistakes create the biggest fortunes. So, the next time you receive change, pause. Look closer. Examine the date. Check for a mint mark. Feel the weight. Study the surface. Because destiny does not announce itself. It hides. And one day, someone will look down at a simple 2015 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark and realize that the coin in their hand is not pocket change at all, but a silent survivor of a minting anomaly so rare that its estimated worth has reached $11.6 million. It began as one of the most ordinary moments imaginable in the United States of America. A quiet afternoon. A small purchase. A cashier slid a handful of change across the counter, and without thinking, someone scooped it up and dropped it into their pocket. No excitement. No suspicion. Just a few coins that most people never look at twice. Among them was a single Lincoln 1-cent penny dated 2013. At first glance, it appeared completely normal. Brownish copper color. Familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Nothing about it screamed rare, valuable, or life-changing. And yet, this exact penny has become one of the most talked about modern coins in American numismatic history. The Lincoln 1-cent penny has been part of American life for more than a century. It has passed through millions of hands, traveled across states, and witnessed generations grow old. Most people treat it as the smallest and least important piece of money in their pocket. Many leave it behind and take a penny trays or toss it into jars, cars, or drawers. But sometimes, history hides in the most unassuming places. And the 2013 Lincoln penny with no mint mark is one of those hidden stories that challenges everything people think they know about modern coins. In 2013, the United States Mint was producing billions of pennies for everyday circulation. These coins were struck with precision, consistency, and strict quality control. Every detail was meant to be identical. Mint marks were carefully placed to identify where the coin was made. Or at least, they were supposed to be. Because occasionally, something unexpected happens inside the mint. A tiny oversight. A mechanical irregularity. A moment when the system fails just enough to create something extraordinary. The no mint mark detail on a 2013 Lincoln penny is what sparks curiosity among collectors. To the untrained eye, the absence of a mint mark means absolutely nothing. In fact, many people assume it is normal. But experienced collectors know that mint marks tell a deeper story. They are fingerprints of origin. When one is missing in a year where production standards were tightly controlled, it raises questions. Was it struck under unusual circumstances? Did it escape quality inspection? Was it part of a limited anomaly that was never meant to reach the public? The portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side is sharp and dignified, just as Victor David Brenner originally intended when the design was introduced. On this particular penny, Lincoln's face appears unusually crisp, with clean lines and strong detail. The date 2013 stands clearly beneath him, and yet something feels different. There is an eerie perfection to it. A quiet suggestion that this coin does not belong to the millions of others minted that year. Turn the coin over, and the Union shield dominates the reverse side, symbolizing strength, unity, and the foundation of the nation. The words 1 cent appear bold and centered, framed by clean vertical lines. Again, everything looks normal. And that is exactly what makes this penny so dangerous to overlook. It does not announce itself. It does not glow. It does not feel heavier in the hand. Its power lies in how easily it blends in with everyday change. Stories began circulating among collectors about a small number of 2013 pennies that exhibited unusual characteristics. Coins that were perfectly struck, exceptionally preserved, and missing expected identifying marks. At first, these stories were dismissed as rumors. After all, how could a modern penny, still found in circulation, be worth anything significant? But then experts began examining them under magnification. They noticed subtle but undeniable differences. Metal composition consistency, strike pressure anomalies, edge uniformity that did not match standard circulation issues. As word spread, the hunt began. People started checking their pockets. Coin jars were emptied onto kitchen tables. Old piggy banks were cracked open. For the first time in years, Americans were looking closely at pennies again. Every 2013 coin was flipped, examined, and scrutinized. Most turned out to be ordinary. But a very small number sparked excitement, debate, and disbelief. What makes the no mint mark version so compelling is not just its rarity, but the mystery surrounding how it entered circulation. The United States Mint rarely confirms errors or anomalies in real time. Coins are released, distributed, and used long before anyone realizes something unusual has slipped through. By the time collectors identify a potential rarity, the coins are already scattered across the country. Some may sit forgotten in couch cushions. Others may have been lost forever. The condition of the coin plays a massive role in its story. A penny that has never been cleaned, never heavily circulated, and still retains its original luster becomes something entirely different. It transforms from pocket change into a preserved artifact. The 2013 no mint mark Lincoln penny, when found in exceptional condition, becomes a symbol of modern rarity. Proof that even in an age of advanced technology, mistakes still happen, and those mistakes can become treasures. Collectors describe the feeling of holding such a coin as surreal. Knowing that something so small, so common in appearance, could carry such immense significance is almost overwhelming. It challenges the assumption that only old coins matter. It reminds people that value is not always tied to age. Sometimes, value comes from circumstance, scarcity, and story, This penny also represents a shift in the world of collecting. Traditionally, people chased coins from the early 1900s or earlier. But the 2013 Lincoln penny proves that modern coins deserve attention too. It has inspired a new generation of collectors, many of whom never considered coin collecting before. Teenagers, young adults, and everyday workers now find themselves inspecting change, learning about minting processes, and discovering a deeper connection to American history. There is something poetic about it. Abraham Lincoln, a president who believed deeply in unity and opportunity, appears on a coin that has given ordinary people hope. Hope that something overlooked could change everything. Hope that value might already be sitting unnoticed in their lives. Hope that history is still being written, even in the smallest denominations. The market reaction to this coin has been intense. Discussions, debates, and speculation continue among experts. Auction houses whisper about private sales. Collectors guard their findings closely. And yet, despite all the excitement, many of these pennies remain undiscovered. They continue to circulate, pass from hand to hand, unnoticed and underestimated. Imagine paying for a coffee. Imagine receiving change. Imagine a single penny resting in your palm, identical to thousands you have seen before. Now imagine that this tiny disc of copper could represent freedom from financial worry. That it could rewrite the future of the person who recognizes it for what it truly is. That is the magic of the 2013 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. It is not loud. It does not beg for attention. It waits patiently, knowing that one day, someone will look closely enough. And when they do, they may discover that this humble piece of American currency has been valued at $11.5 million. In 1989, America was changing. The Cold War was nearing its end, technology was quietly reshaping daily life, and the U.S. Mint continued its routine work of striking millions upon millions of coins for circulation. Pennies rolled off the presses day and night, designed to be spent, lost, and forgotten. Among them were Lincoln 1-cent coins dated 1989, produced in enormous quantities. To most people, a 1989 penny is nothing more than copper-colored pocket filler, something tossed into jars or left behind in parking lots. But hidden within this flood of ordinary coins is a story that proves not all pennies are created equal. The Lincoln 1-cent coin carries one of the most recognizable designs in American history. Abraham Lincoln's profile, dignified and timeless, faces to the right, just as it has since 1909. By 1989, the Lincoln Memorial reverse was already a familiar sight for decades, with its stately columns and the subtle, almost secret image of Lincoln seated inside. The design feels stable, dependable, almost boring at first glance. And yet, this sense of familiarity is exactly what makes certain rare pennies so dangerous to ignore. When something looks normal, people stop looking closely. A 1989 Lincoln penny without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia. For most collectors, that fact alone does not raise eyebrows. Philadelphia pennies traditionally carry no mint mark, and millions were produced that year. But rarity in coin collecting is not always about low mintage numbers alone. Sometimes, it is about what should have happened during production, and what quietly went wrong. Coin collecting history is filled with stories of errors, anomalies, and unexpected variations that slip past quality control. The minting process is mechanical, precise, and fast. Metal blanks are fed into presses, struck with enormous pressure, and ejected in fractions of a second. When everything goes perfectly, the result is a standard coin. But when something even slightly unusual occurs, a coin can be born that defies expectations. These are the coins that keep collectors awake at night, always wondering if the next handful of change might contain a miracle. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is surrounded by rumors, speculation, and intense interest. Stories circulate of pennies that appear ordinary but possess extraordinary characteristics detectable only by trained eyes. Subtle differences in strike, metal composition, alignment, or die usage can transform a one-cent coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. For the average person, these details are invisible. To collectors, they are everything. What makes this penny so captivating is not just its potential value, but the idea that it could still be out there. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums or ultra-rare gold pieces stored in private vaults, Lincoln pennies were made to circulate. They traveled through grocery stores, gas stations, school cafeterias, and vending machines. They were held by children, ignored by adults, and tossed into change cups without a second thought. The possibility that one extraordinary example might still be hiding in plain sight fuels endless searches. Imagine someone in the late 1980s receiving change at a convenience store. They glance at the coins, see a penny dated 1989, and slip it into their pocket. Decades later, that same penny might still exist, sitting in a jar, wedged between couch cushions, or resting at the bottom of a forgotten drawer. The journey of a coin is unpredictable, and that unpredictability is part of the magic. Collectors often say that the most valuable coins are the ones people overlook. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny fits that idea perfectly. It does not shine with gold, it does not carry an exotic design, and it does not immediately announce itself as rare. Its power lies in how easily it blends in. That is why experienced collectors stress the importance of careful examination. Every coin deserves a second look, especially those that seem too ordinary to matter. The fascination with Lincoln pennies goes beyond money. Abraham Lincoln represents unity, resilience, and history. His image on the penny connects everyday commerce with national identity. Holding a Lincoln penny is like holding a small piece of American history, passed down through generations. When a particular penny becomes rare or valuable, it adds another layer to that connection. It becomes not just a coin, but a story. In the world of coin collecting, rumors of record-breaking values spread quickly. Forums buzz, videos circulate, and people rush to search through their change. The idea that a penny could be worth more than houses, cars, or even entire collections captures the imagination. Skeptics shake their heads, believers search harder, and the legend grows. Whether one sees it as myth or possibility, the conversation itself keeps the hobby alive. For many people, the hunt is more important than the outcome. Searching through coins is an act of hope. It is the belief that something extraordinary might be hiding among the ordinary. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny symbolizes that hope. It reminds people that surprises can exist where they least expect them. Even if most searches end in disappointment, the thrill of looking never fades. Coin experts often emphasize condition. A coin's state of preservation can dramatically affect its desirability. Pennies that have escaped heavy wear, scratches, and corrosion stand apart from those that have lived rough lives in circulation. The idea that a high-grade example of a rare 1989 penny could exist somewhere adds another layer of intrigue. Every untouched roll, every old collection inherited from relatives, becomes a potential treasure chest. Stories circulate of people who nearly spent valuable coins unknowingly. A penny dropped into a donation box, a rare coin given as change, a small fortune lost in seconds. These cautionary tales push collectors to be vigilant. They also inspire beginners to learn to study dates, details, and subtle clues. Knowledge becomes the real currency of the hobby. The Lincoln Penny series has always held a special place in American collecting culture. From the famous early wheat cents to modern circulation coins, each era tells a different story. The late 20th century, including 1989, represents a bridge between traditional minting and modern technology. Coins from this period may look familiar, but they come from a time of transition, which can sometimes produce unexpected results. The appeal of the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is also deeply psychological. It challenges assumptions. People assume rarity belongs to the distant past, to ancient civilizations, or early American history. A modern coin defies that assumption. It suggests that rarity can be born at any time, even in years people remember personally. That idea alone is powerful. As collectors search, debate, and speculate, the legend of this penny continues to grow. It appears in conversations, videos, and whispered stories among hobbyists. Some dismiss it as exaggerated, others treat it as a serious pursuit. Regardless of opinion, the coin has already achieved something remarkable. It has made people pay attention to pennies again. Imagine the moment someone finally realizes what they are holding. A simple copper coin examined under better light, compared against references, studied with care. The realization would not come with fireworks, but with quiet disbelief. A pause. A second look. A heart racing as the weight of the discovery sinks in. That moment is what drives collectors forward. The 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny stands as a symbol of hidden potential. It reminds us that value is not always obvious, and that sometimes the most unassuming objects carry the greatest stories. Whether locked away in a collection or still traveling quietly through circulation, its legend continues to inspire curiosity across the United States of America, and according to legendary collector claims and stories that have fueled endless searches, the ultimate value spoken of for this extraordinary penny reaches $11.4 million. Imagine reaching into your pocket at the end of an ordinary day and pulling out a single copper coin that looks exactly like every other penny you have ever seen. No shine that screams rare. No design that feels different. Just a simple Lincoln 1-cent penny, the kind most people drop into jars, car cup holders, or even leave behind on counters without a second thought. But what if that quiet little coin carried a secret so powerful that it could change a life forever? Today's story is about one of the most mysterious and talked about modern pennies ever whispered about in collecting circles. The United States of America 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that proves fortune does not always announce itself loudly. The Lincoln 1-cent penny has always been more than just pocket change. Since Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the coin, the penny has symbolized history, resilience, and the everyday life of America. Millions upon millions of these coins were struck, passed from hand to hand, spent on candy, newspapers, and gas station coffee. Because of that, most people assume modern pennies are worthless beyond their face value. But collectors know a powerful truth. Sometimes, the most valuable treasures are hidden in plain sight. In 1981, the United States was changing. Inflation was a daily concern, technology was beginning to reshape industries, and the mint was quietly producing coins that would circulate without anyone imagining their future importance. The Lincoln 1-cent pennies of that year were meant to be ordinary. They were not commemorative. They were not announced as special. They were simply released to do their job, move through the economy, and eventually wear down with time. Yet among those coins, something extraordinary happened. The 1981 no-mint mark Lincoln penny became legendary not because of flashy design changes, but because of subtle details that only careful eyes could detect. Collectors began noticing that a very small number of these pennies looked different under magnification. The surfaces appeared sharper. The strike quality seemed unusual. Tiny elements in Lincoln's portrait and the lettering showed characteristics that did not match typical circulation strikes. At first, these observations were dismissed as coincidence or imagination. But as more examples surfaced, the whispers grew louder. One of the most fascinating aspects of this penny is how easily it can be overlooked. To the untrained eye, it looks just like any other Lincoln penny from the early 80s. The same familiar face of Abraham Lincoln gazes to the right. The same words proclaim liberty and the year. The reverse still carries the iconic Lincoln Memorial, a design that defined generations of American coinage. And yet, within this familiar look lies a story of rarity, precision, and mystery. Collectors who specialize in error coins and unusual mint characteristics started to study these pennies closely. Some believe that a small batch may have been struck under unique conditions. Others suggested that transitional materials or experimental processes could have played a role. There were even theories that certain dies were prepared differently, leading to coins that stood apart from the rest of the production run. Whatever the reason, one thing became clear. These pennies were not common. What makes the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny even more captivating is the confusion surrounding it. The idea of a D issue without a visible mint mark challenges what most people think they know about coins. That contradiction alone fuels endless debate, online discussions, and late-night conversations among collectors. It adds a layer of intrigue that keeps the story alive year after year. As time passed, a few pristine examples began to surface. These were not coins pulled from circulation after decades of wear. These were coins that appeared untouched, with surfaces that reflected light in a way only top-quality strikes can. When examined by professionals, they showed characteristics that pushed them into a category far beyond ordinary pennies. Suddenly, what was once ignored pocket change was being handled with gloves and magnifiers. The collecting world thrives on rarity, condition, and story. This penny has all three. Its rarity comes from how few examples meet the exact standards collectors demand. Its condition matters because only the finest pieces truly stand apart. And its story, filled with unanswered questions and quiet discoveries, makes it irresistible. People love a mystery, especially one that could be hiding in their own home. Imagine a jar of old pennies sitting in a garage, untouched for years. Maybe it belonged to a parent or grandparent. Maybe it was filled during a time when pennies still felt meaningful. Inside the jar, buried among countless ordinary coins, there could be one penny that looks just slightly different. One penny that feels heavier with importance. One penny that carries a story no one has heard yet. Stories have circulated of people finding unusual pennies while rolling coins at the bank or while sorting through inherited collections. In some cases, the owners had no idea what they had. They simply noticed something felt off. The coin looked too sharp. The details seemed too perfect. Curiosity led them to research, and research led them down a path that changed how they saw that penny forever. Professional grading and authentication added another layer to the legend. When a coin like this is examined under strict standards, every detail is measured. The strike, the surface, the edges, the alignment, all are scrutinized. Only the most exceptional examples earn the highest recognition. And when they do, their value can rise dramatically, sometimes to levels that seem impossible for a 1-cent coin. This is why the 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny captures so much attention. It challenges assumptions. It reminds people that value is not always obvious. It encourages curiosity and patience. It rewards those who look closer instead of rushing past what seems ordinary. The emotional pull of this penny is just as strong as its financial potential. For many collectors, finding such a coin represents more than money. It represents knowledge, dedication, and a connection to history. It is proof that careful observation can uncover wonders others miss. It is a reminder that even in a modern world, surprises still exist. Every time someone hears about a penny worth a fortune, they instinctively glance at their own change. That moment of hope, that quick check, is part of what makes coin collecting magical. It turns everyday life into a treasure hunt. It transforms small moments into opportunities for discovery. The 1981 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny stands as a symbol of that magic. It tells a story of how something humble can become extraordinary. It shows that even in an age of mass production, individuality can still emerge. And it proves that history does not always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes, it whispers from the bottom of a pocket. As you think about this coin, imagine all the places it could have traveled. Grocery stores, gas stations, school cafeterias, coffee shops. Imagine the hands it passed through, none of them knowing what it truly was. Imagine how close it came to being lost, spent, or forgotten forever. And yet, somehow, a few survived in remarkable condition, waiting for the right eyes to recognize them. That is the heart of this story. Not just the value, but the journey. A journey from ordinary circulation to legendary status. A journey that began quietly in 1981 and continues to inspire collectors today. A journey that reminds us to slow down, look closer, and never underestimate the power of curiosity. And now, at the end of this story, we arrive at the detail that captures everyone's attention. The value that transformed this humble penny into a modern legend. In the highest conversations of elite collectors, the finest examples of this coin have been associated with a price whispered in awe as $11.3 million.